Hi, I'm Lucas Mack, and welcome to another episode of the Golden Rule Revolution, where inspiration and purpose come from treating people like people and nothing less. Today, I want to talk about vulnerability. I believe when we stand in the power of our vulnerability, we allow others to stand in theirs. The question is, though, what is being vulnerable? Is it just brain dumping on people when they're not expecting it? When someone says, "Hey, how are you?" and you're just, I don't think that's being vulnerable. In fact, I think that's being disruptive and somewhat oppressive to another. That's not vulnerability. Vulnerability is simply being, not trying to project anything to another, not trying to act a certain way, but simply being. When we're vulnerable, we don't have to prove or get validation from anyone else. We simply be. The problem is a lot of us either don't feel safe enough to simply be, or we've been trained that being vulnerable will get us hurt or is not the way to be in the world. How many of you heard when you were a child, tough it out? You could be bleeding and you hear tough it out. What that teaches a child is that whatever state that the child is in is not appropriate to remain there. So, conditioning over time says, I can never just be myself. I always have to project an image or facade. And as we grow up, we live in this world where everyone projects the image and facade. And do we ever truly, really know each other? Probably not. I was consulting to a company yesterday and I asked the people in charge, the management team, we get into developing their brand and their purpose. And I asked them, what would you crawl bloody knuckled over a broken field of glass to accomplish? What would you give everything for? And they gave answers. And I wrote the answers down. And then I turned to each and every one of them and I asked them this question: what would you give your life for? What would you give your life for? And they went around and they answered beautifully, powerfully. And then I said to them, isn't it sad that most of you, if not all of you, have never asked your closest friends that very question? The core and essence of what makes us who we are from our worldview, our belief structure. Do we even really know each other? Being vulnerable is simply being, getting to the core of who we are and allowing others to get to the core of who they are. When you and I live in our ways of being, when we simply be and don't have to prove for validation or worthiness or love or acceptance, we are free. We are free. And when we stand in that, when we stand in our freedom, it gives others permission to stand in theirs. So when we stand in the power of our vulnerability, we are giving permission to others to stand in the power of theirs. And when we all get to that place of vulnerability, it keeps us in check where we would not hurt another. This is why the golden rule is so important. A, it's a way of being that I would never do unto you what I would not want you to do unto me. And like it, I will do unto you as I want you to do unto me. Both sides of the coin. But before I can ever act or not act, I must know myself. I must be free. Because if I'm not free, then I will always be compelled. If you're not free, you will always be compelled to just go down the track, and the train will go wherever the track leads it. You might feel like you're moving forward, but you might be a train on a track. And what if the track runs out? You're in for a crash. I don't want you to be a train on a track. I'm not a train on a track. I want you to have the ability to move, to shift, to be free, to look ahead and say, there's danger, so I will shift and avoid. Not there's danger and I can do nothing but dread the moment of impact. Being vulnerable is a beautiful gift, not only to yourself, but to the world, to everyone you come in contact with. So I encourage you to get vulnerable and be vulnerable. You see, I've talked about this before, but love gives truth permission to come forth. When you and I love each other, and we qualify it today with saying unconditional love, but when we love each other for the sake of the beautiful soul that is within us and the expression of that soul in our body, it allows us to feel safe enough to share our truth, to share your truth, the pain, the trauma, everything you've gone through, every word that has ever been spoken to you to prick your heart, to hurt you, every act that's been done to you in the home, in school, at work, social settings, everything that just shrinks your heart. All that truth is down deep inside you. And what are you going to do with it? I'll tell you what I did with it. I stuck it down so deep, I physically became sick. I started drinking. I was a workaholic. I did a lot of things wrong because I didn't know what to do with all the pain that was stuffed down deep. I have autoimmune disease. I have struggled with digestive issues since I was a little kid. Until I felt loved enough and safe enough where I could share the truth that I went through. And when that happened, I experienced freedom that I did not even know was possible, yet I craved exactly what I've experienced and somehow knew that is what is possible. I just hadn't seen it, so it felt like it wasn't possible. When I love you and you feel safe enough to share your truth, and I do love you, you can share your truth and you can be free. And when you love me and I share my truth, I can be free. Judgment is killing us. Judgment is killing us. Do not stand in judgment of another. I don't care whatever you think is right or wrong, or you don't know the moment before they acted what led them there. You weren't there in the darkest places of their life. You weren't there in the fire with them. So don't judge and act. Love the soul. Love the person to freedom. Instead of saying, what did you just do? Or what do you think? Or what? Lead with why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you believe what you believe? Why? And that is a beautiful permission to allow discovery, internal reflection that will lead to outward correction. Why do you do what you do? And why do I do what I do? let's discover together. And that is being vulnerable. It's such a pleasure having you watch this. I'm honored. I'm asking you to join the Golden Rule Revolution. I believe it's revolutionary to stand for love today. Love for all. Believe all things. Stand for all things. Love people. Treat people like people and nothing less. A mind, a heart, a body, a soul. A beautiful expression of life. When we do this, when we stand for this, when our ways of being are the golden rule in practice to others and in practice to ourselves, the world begins to heal. Because I am on a mission to see hurt people healed and healed people heal. Because it's those that have gone through the fire, gone through the utter darkness, who are the ones that can go back into that place and bring people out of it. Those of us who have gone through the worst of the worst are fuel to uncover the best of the best. And that's what being a Golden Rule revolutionary is all about. I'm Lucas Mack. I'm honored that you've watched, and I look forward to speaking with you on the next episode.